I'm going to tell you something that would make most of the creators on this corner of YouTube lose their minds. I do not automate my finances. With 3 exceptions, every single dollar that is spent in my household manually comes through me. The 3 things that I do not automate are my mortgage payment, which comes out of my bank account on the first of the month, my health insurance, which comes out before I get paid, and my 401k contribution, which comes out of my account before I get paid. Other than that, I am manually paying, manually moving money, doing everything either at my phone or at my computer with paper receipts, essentially virtually balancing my own checkbook. I have taken the philosophy of friction maxing and applied it to my personal finance with huge success. Every single dollar that is spent in my household is approved by me. I know it sounds like a headache, but I really think that this is why I feel so good about my finances today. I know where everything has been, where everything is going, what's coming down the pike, and what's in our savings accounts. This whole set it and forget it movement, I think, is a little bit of a trap. Basically, every finance book that I've read and just about every finance YouTuber that I watch really pushes for automation of your finances so that you can set it and forget it and you don't have to think about money. But I think that that's exactly the problem. When you stop thinking about money, your money stops feeling real to you. You miss things. You're okay with a lot of these small expenses that maybe you wouldn't be okay with if you actually knew that they were happening, and you just really don't have a very good handle on what your money is doing. For me, I want to feel the pain of money leaving my account and feel the win of unexpected deposits or tax returns or, paychecks that have overtime in them. I want to feel that win and be able to put that money to work and feel really good about the extra work that I'm doing. I'm the oldest sibling and I have a business degree and I work in compensation. So I am usually the go-to for people in my family to ask about personal finances. And the first question that I always get is, what app do I use to track my finances? And my answer usually either confuses or frustrates because I don't use an app. I do everything by hand in a spreadsheet. And I know that this is not the answer that people want to hear because they want an easy solution for tracking, managing, and improving their financial situations. But I don't think that there really is an easy answer. I think that you have to put in the work and you have to dig and understand what's happening with your money in order to save in an effective way, invest in an effective way, and understand your own financial situation. I don't want a bot or an AI to know more about my finances than I do. I'm not saying that automation is evil, but I think of it as kind of like a sedative, maybe. It's really detaching you from your own personal financial life, and I would rather be awake when dealing with my finances. I feel like a really good example of money maybe feeling fake or losing track of things when you have an automated system comes down to how much of our lives are now based around subscriptions. And even as somebody who is really in touch with their finances, before I did everything manually, I had some zombie subscriptions out there that I didn't know that I was paying for a while. What was it? What did I pay for that was crazy? Oh my God, I remember going through my bank statements and seeing this monthly charge. Let's see if Ryan knows.
Hello?
Hi, I have a question.
What's up?
Do you remember a couple years ago, we found out that we were paying for a subscription that we forgot about? Do you remember what it was?
We were paying for a subscription?
I had been paying for something for a year. And I remember reaching out to whatever company it was and having to dispute with them to give me my money back, but I don't remember what it was.
Let's see. What do we have for subscriptions? Prime, Netflix, Hulu. I
The gym.
The J.
Yes, it was the J. It was the J.
It was the J.
Got it. Okay. So the biggest issue with automation, like I said, is when money doesn't feel real, it's easy to become detached and to not pay attention. So before I stopped automating everything, this happened to me too. And I am somebody who really values that high friction, high touch point finance. And I felt like I had it. And even so, this happened to me. When my husband and I sold our house and moved into this house, we were too far away to use the gym that we had been using in our old town. So Ryan emailed the gym and told them we were moving, gave them the paperwork that they required because gyms are insane and they need like proof that you're leaving. And so that was like, I checked it off our list of things that we needed to do when we moved. And then a few months later, I was going through our credit card statements and I saw that we had still been charged like $120 a month for the past 3 or 4 months for this gym that we were no longer members at, or so we thought. But my credit cards were being auto-paid from my bank account, and because I didn't know that I had made that transaction, I wasn't keeping track of it. And that was crazy. That was like hundreds of dollars that we had to not fight too hard because they were very understanding when they saw that we had reached out and they just didn't do anything about it. But we had to fight to get it back. And it was weeks before we were able to get the money back because they had to send us a physical check. And after that, really, I decided that this automation thing is just a recipe for disaster. Even that's a couple $100 and I didn't really notice it. I happened upon it when I was doing kind of like a quarterly audit of everything. And I can't even imagine with some of these subscriptions out there that are so little from a dollar perspective, like you're paying, I don't know, $7 a month for Netflix. Maybe you have 2 Netflix accounts and you don't even know it. Now I'm just so scared of that happening again and me not realizing it. So these, what I've seen referred to as zombie subscriptions, can really eat away at your money and you don't even realize it. And we were really lucky that the gym that had been charging us when they shouldn't have been was like local, you know, it wasn't like Apple or Netflix or somebody who would probably just have said, too bad you didn't cancel, like we can't give you your money back. So we got lucky, but that's not always the case. The way that I had been auditing my finances is looking at my credit card statement and being like, yeah, that feels right. That's like pretty much what I did. And I wasn't looking at it to the dollar and I didn't realize that, you know, $120 a month was coming out that shouldn't have been. Here's another thing that I think people don't think about. If you automate your savings or your investments and it's not as like a function of your salary, so basically anything other than your 401k or your direct deposit, that has to be a dollar value. So let's say in 2024, I decide I'm gonna save $500 a month. So I'm going to auto draft $100 or $500 from my checking account and put it into my savings account every month. But then in 2025, I got a 5% raise, and in 2026, I got a 5% raise. So now I'm making a good amount more money than I was making in 2024, but because everything is automated, I'm still only saving $500 a month. When in reality, if I had been deeply thinking about it, maybe at that point, I would want to be saving $550, but I haven't thought about it in 2 years since I said it and forgot it. So then it's really great. You're getting these raises, you have more money in your bank account, you are using that money to, you know, better your life, better yourself, go out to dinner maybe one more time a month, or you're buying nicer clothes, or, you know, really focusing on sustainability or whatever it is, and using that money, even though if you had been thinking critically about it, maybe you would have decided to do something different with your savings or your investing. So what I do is at the beginning of every month, I look at the money that we've made in the prior month, and I use that to make my budget, to contribute to my savings accounts, to pay my mortgage, to pay our electric bill, our water bill, whatever else. And At that point, if I've gotten a raise or if we've made more money than we did the month before because it's an extra paycheck or because Ryan worked an overtime shift, I can decide then and there how much more money I want to put into savings or investing, because I am actively making that decision every month of where does this money go. This is not like a 5-minute process. I sit at my computer and I move a lot of money. So what I do is I look at the beginning of the month, I have different buckets in my SoFi account of different budget items and different savings that I have. And I put the amount of money into those accounts that I've budgeted for each month. And then at the end of the month, so basically the last day of the month is when I would do my budget. The first half of that, I'm taking, if there's money left over in any of those accounts, I am taking that and I am putting it somewhere else. So let's say that we budgeted $400 for February for groceries and we spent $385 on groceries. So I have on February 28th, I have $15 in my grocery bucket, or vault is what they call it in SoFi. I'm gonna take that $15 and move it elsewhere. For me, that's my taxable brokerage account. So I will take that $15, put it in my taxable brokerage account, and I will go down all of my vaults that I use on a monthly basis. So other examples of this are gas for the car, household, dining out, groceries, like I said, and that's pretty much it. But like those basics that would reset at the beginning of a new month. And if I have got extra in there, I'm moving it. So that's a few minutes there. I have to go through every vault, look at the balance, make sure that it matches what I've actually spent through the month, and put that in my vault. And then I look at the income that I made in that prior month and I allocate it towards those budget items as well as my savings, as well as my investments. And then I actively make those moves while I'm sitting on my computer. So if I put $500 a month into my taxable brokerage account, I am not auto depositing or auto drafting that from my savings or checking into my brokerage account on the first of the month. I am moving it on the 28th. I am going into my account. I'm saying move $500 to my brokerage. I move it to my brokerage and I invest it. I feel that $500 moving every month. I feel the mortgage payment come out. I feel when I'm putting money towards fun or travel or saving for something. I feel it regularly. And with our sinking funds, I put money in every month. Every time I spend $1, I pull it out. I pull the money out of the sinking fund and I put it into the checking account so that it can pay for the purchase I just put on my debit card. So essentially, I view that as balancing my checkbook. It's effectively kind of the same process, but I don't use a checkbook. I don't write checks. I use a credit card or a debit card. So I physically move the money in the same way that you would write it on a ledger. For somebody who really values convenience, this is not ideal, but I think you can have convenience or you can have control. I don't think you can really have both, because if you're using an app to track your spending, you're looking backwards. You're looking at the end of February and you're saying, okay, what did I make in February and what did I spend? And if you're in the negative, there's nothing that you can do. Like you can't, I mean, I guess you could like make some returns, but like you can't return that coffee, or you can't, I don't know, you can't return your Netflix subscription. But if you look at it looking forward, you make the choice of where you are going to spend your money and where you are not going to spend your money. So it's prioritizing, it's planning, and it's being in control from the beginning. And I think it is much more difficult to get yourself in a tough situation when you look at things from the beginning of the month, and then you also look backwards to the end of the month to reflect, see what made sense, see what budgets have some left over, and if that means that you should tweak some things. Look at your investment accounts and see how things are going. Do you want to maybe prioritize that next month? You get to make that decision every single day, every single week, every single payday. And that is how you make measured and intentional moves with your money. Now, going cold turkey is one, going to be really confusing and difficult, and two, probably just not realistic for everyone. So here's my suggestion. Your bills that are the same every month, keep those on autopay. Your mortgage, your car payment, things like that, keep those on autopay. And maybe your utilities too. We don't want the lights turning off because you forgot to pay your electricity bill. So keep those on autopay, but keep an eye on how much those are. Like, pay attention to that. Keep those numbers in your head, but try going manual for everything else. Something else that I think is really important and I would love for you to do for me as a favor is take a look at your subscriptions. Open your banking app, look at your most recent bank statement, and see if there are any subscriptions in there that you've forgotten about, that you don't use, that are duplicates, etc. Another example from me is I subscribed to HBO Max to watch Heated Rivalry, and I did the 1 week trial, and I missed the day to shut it off before it charged me for a full month. Even though I had it in my calendar, I had it a day off. So I had to pay for an additional month. So things like that, like maybe you signed up for a free trial of a streaming service because a show came out that you wanted to watch. Check and see if you're still paying for that. Are you newly married or in a situation like I am where both myself and my husband pay for Spotify accounts? That's something that it took us a minute to figure out once we combined our finances, but we still do it because I pay for my family and he pays for his family. But maybe that's not what's right for you. Maybe you're both paying for individual Spotify accounts and you should be paying for a family plan. All that to say, I hope that you just take a moment to scroll through your bank account and see if there are any subscriptions in there that you're not using or that are duplicated. And if you find anything, cancel it. And put down in the comments what you've been paying for that maybe you didn't realize that you were paying for. I would love to know that there are other people out there like me that didn't realize that they were still paying for HBO Max or for something else. And I really hope that that saves you a couple dollars every month and maybe gives you the motivation that you need to do a really deep financial audit and start working on your budget. If that's something that's interesting to you and you are on this side of YouTube because you are ready to start putting together a budget, I will have my budgeting playlist and my budget videos linked here and at the end of this video for you to check out. If you have any questions or if you just want to chat about budgets, leave a comment, hit the subscribe button. I love talking personal finance. I could do it all day, every day. So let me know, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.